love for the poor. Article 2443. God blesses those who come to the aid of the poor and rebukes those who turn away from them. Give to him who begs from you. Do not refuse him who would borrow from you. You received without pay. Give without pay. It is by what they have done for the poor that Jesus Christ will recognize his chosen ones. When the poor have the good news preached to them, it is a sign of Christ's presence. The Church's love for the poor is a part of her constant tradition. This love is inspired by the gospel of the Beatitudes, of the poverty of Jesus and his concern for the poor. Love for the poor is even one of the motives for the duty of working, so as to be able to give to those in need. So a well-paid job is not a sin, but give your tithe. It extends not only to material poverty, but also to the many forms of cultural and religious poverty. Article 2445 says, Behold the wages of the labourers who mowed your fields, which you kept back by fraud. Cry out, and the cries of the harvesters have reached the ears of the Lord of hosts. You have lived on the earth in luxury and in pleasure. You have fattened your hearts in the day of slaughter. You have condemned. You have killed the righteous man. He does not resist you. I read that again. Behold, the wages of the labourers who mowed your fields, those wages which you kept back by fraud. Those labourers cry out, and the cries of the harvesters have reached the ears of the Lord of hosts. You have lived on the earth in luxury and in pleasure. You have fattened your hearts in a day of slaughter. You have condemned. You have killed the righteous man. He does not resist you. Article 2446. St. John Chrysostom vigorously recalls this. Not to enable the poor to share in our goods is to steal from them and deprive them of life. The goods we possess are not ours, but theirs. The demands of justice must be satisfied first of all. That which is already due in justice is not to be offered as a gift of charity. When we attend to the needs of those in want, we give them what is theirs, not ours. Remember, everything that we have, everything that we get is from God. Freely you have received, freely you shall give. More than performing works of mercy, we are paying a debt of justice. Article 2447. The works of mercy are charitable actions by which we come to the aid of our neighbour in his spiritual and bodily necessities. It's not enough to just drop off the food. Have a chat, show human kindness and respect. Instructing, advising, consoling, comforting are spiritual works of mercy, as are forgiving and bearing wrongs patiently. The corporal works of mercy consist especially in feeding the hungry, sheltering the homeless, clothing the naked, visiting the sick and imprisoned, and burying the dead. Among all these, giving alms to the poor is one of the chief witnesses to fraternal charity. It is about a work of justice pleasing to God. If you don't approve of your church, if you don't want to give to your church, I don't approve, but perhaps give your money to the poor instead. He who has 2 coats, let him share with him who has none. And he who has food must do likewise. But give alms for those things which are within, and behold, everything is clean for you. It is a brother or sister is ill-clad and in lack of daily food, and one of you says to them, Go in peace, be warmed and filled, without giving them the things needed for the body, what does it profit? So don't say to the beggar in the street when you turn him away, I'll pray for you. Give him something. Article 2448. In its various forms, material deprivation, unjust oppression, physical and psychological illness and death, human misery, is the obvious sign of the inherited condition of frailty and the need for salvation in which man finds himself as a consequence of original sin. This misery elicited the compassion of Christ the Saviour, who willingly took it upon himself and identified himself with the least of his brethren. Hence, those who are oppressed by poverty are the object of a preferential love on the part of the Church, which, since her origin, and in spite of the failings of many of her members, has not ceased to work for their relief, defence and liberation, through numerous works of charity which remain indispensable always and everywhere. The Catholic Church, like any church, but specifically the Catholic Church, has its faults, but it also has a lot of good things that it does, and its charitable works you will find it makes it one of the most charitable organizations in the world. Article 2449, beginning with the Old Testament, all kinds of judicial measures, the Jubilee year, forgiveness of debts, prohibition of loans at interest and the keeping of collateral, the obligation to tithe, the daily payment of the day labourer, the right to glean vines and fields, answer the exhortation of Deuteronomy. For the poor will never cease out of the land, therefore I command you, you shall open wide your hand to your brother, to the needy and to the poor in the land. Jesus makes these words his own. The poor you will always have with you, but you do not always have me. In so doing, he does not soften the vehemence of former oracles against buying the poor for silver and the needy for a pair of sandals, but invites us to recognize his own presence in the poor who are his brethren. When her mother reproached her for caring for the poor and the sick at home, St. Rose of Lima said to her, when we serve the poor and the sick, we serve Jesus. When we serve the poor and the sick, we serve Jesus. We must not fail to help our neighbors, because in them we serve Jesus. We must not fail to help our neighbors, because in them we serve Jesus. Next, we will be doing a summary of Thou shalt not steal, the Eighth Commandment. Again, I thank you for your time, and God bless.